Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. Whatever time it is for you, I'm Suckin. Welcome to more Let's Play Train Simulator Classic. Yeah, it happened again. I've been having a heck of a week here, guys. I am currently at my mother's on a different recording setup, and as a result, I had to shut down and restart my computer after moving it here. Unfortunately, I forgot my computer cable when I first brought it here on Tuesday, actually Monday night. I had forgotten my computer cable. That was the unforeseen circumstances by which I couldn't get you a video on Wednesday because I had no way to get my computer powered on without spending money to head back home and get back out here to record stuff on Tuesday or Wednesday. Wasn't happening. So, yeah, no video then. And I went to finally get the cable and bring it out Thursday after doing some dog sitting for a relative on Thursday. And I started up this morning. It is Friday night at about 10, 11 o'clock as I'm talking to you. I meant to have the video of this first scenario right down the line out for you today on Friday. You're going to have it on Saturday instead because there's no way I'm going to get it re-recorded, like recorded now and edited. So you're seeing this on Saturday. You're going to have videos Saturday, Sunday, and Tuesday this week. Just so you know, right down the line will be Saturday, or basically today as you're seeing it. Leaving so soon will be Sunday. Cross-town traffic will be Tuesday. Why do they all have stars next to them, you might be wondering? I recorded, or at least tried to record, all three of them today without opening OBS. Yeah, I had no videos to edit. Yeah, the facepalm was double facepalm Star Trek style. That's basically what I did when I saw that. I had done that. So, all three of these scenarios, very easy scenarios. I'm not going to have a problem playing them again. It's just 2 hours of my life that I can't get back. 2.25 hours of my life I can't get back. And I have to re-record those just to edit them. So yeah, I'm not having the best week so far. I hope you enjoy these scenarios at least as well as I did the first time I played them, even though I'm going to have to play them a second time for you now. I hope you at least enjoy them at my suffering. In any case, this is my attempt to show you the Midland Main Line. There are lots of achievements you can get from the very first scenario, and I did get in the very first scenario. I'll try and talk about those as I get to the point that I would have acquired those achievements. And then there's another achievement that we obtain on the second scenario. Interestingly enough, I did not get an achievement for the third scenario, but I'm going to talk about the achievements I do know of for the first two scenarios as we get them. So let's go ahead and get started on the first scenario right down the line. This is the longest scenario on the entire route. It is a full-length run from Bedford to St. Pancras, and I guess the only scenario where we're actually doing that. It is a semi-express service. We have several stops along the way, but not at all stations. However, the stations are all marked, so I will be able to tell you what they are as we pass by them. Let's get started. You are currently at Bedford. This service will be running the whole length of the line between Bedford and St. Pancras Thameslink. Your duties will finish at St. Pancras Thameslink, although this service will then continue to Beckenham Junction. And that's our train. You normally get an achievement as soon as you start the first scenario. Whatever scenario of the 5 it is, or any custom scenario, you get an achievement right away. You're driving the 319 for the first time. There's achievement number 1, done right now. Open the doors and allow passengers to board here at Bedford before departing. T, I'm going to reset the AWS. Let's bring up the HUDs, take a look at what we're doing here. We're going to move this to a step 1 break. And everything's ready to go as soon as the boarding is complete. So, yeah, we are playing with the class 319. You can see the headlights are already on. And it does have the First Capital Connect branding. Now, it's worth noting as well that the First Capital Connect, I don't think they currently endorse any other products for any train simulator game. Thankfully for them, they have left this and allowed this to stay available. And you can still enjoy this. Otherwise, new products, no, you're not going to get anything new using First Capital Connect, unfortunately. So don't expect Bedford to Derby from DTG in any product just for that reason, I would say. So, leaving Bedford, our first stop is going to be Leagrave platform number 3. And that is the first of 5 stops we have today. 167 points for each timed stop. As a result, we're going to have a full 1,002 points available. That's a freight train going by. You see a lot of them at this end of the route in particular. Quick peek at the map before we get too busy with our journey. We're way up here in the north. I hate that it always focuses on the first stop. So that freight train is heading toward the northern end, heading off towards Derby. It says Bedford down, fast up, slow, so on. We're here. Let's check our speed, and we'll come back and look at the map in a moment. $50. Quick peek at the map now. Again, you can see this route does continue. There's actually a path coming in here that goes towards the Birmingham 2010 route down to Bletchley. So Birmingham 2010 actually includes that little section. And then we come all the way down here, and that goes to, that's actually, I think, goes to Derby, by the way. Down here is the Brighton to Bedford service, which is waiting at St. Pancras Thameslink to come in our direction. We're going to stop here because we are at 50, and that's about as high as we can go right now. That will do for now as we are in a 50. See, I mentioned that you won't find a legal representation of Bedford to Derby, but again, because Birmingham 2010 actually covers part of the route south of Derby, that's a route that exists on a different site. Waterwally's Bits, I believe, has it. I think UK Train Sim has or had it as well, because they're supposed to be closed by now. They're still open last I checked, which surprise to everyone, I guess. I don't know. But they're supposed to have it as well if they're still available, so that you can find it there too. And yeah, Birmingham 2010 also went as far over, obviously, as Birmingham. It also covered part of the Birmingham Cross City route, but not the Payware part. That part never got covered in that route, just a part to the north of that. So you can actually travel the whole route between Birmingham 2010 and the actual Cross City Payware, which is very interesting. And there are other tracks around that area as well on the Birmingham 2010 route, if you feel like playing that. But that route does go down to at least the Redditch area. It doesn't cover the whole Cross City in that special section north of Birmingham. I also know of another route that actually covers the route through Gloucester from the Wales area, from near the South Wales main line. I think it's the turnoff around Severn Tunnel or something like that. I don't know. I haven't actually played that yet, but it is another route I'm looking at potentially doing once I get all the payware in the area introduced. I have been thinking as well, and I think I actually want to cover all 5 of the Class 319 scenarios in this first week and a half. This whole week and a half that I'm going to be at my mother's, because even when she comes home, I'm going to have to be here for a while because we're going to be going to a hockey game the very next day after she gets back. So there's going to be a lot of driving for me. It's going to be a lot of gas, needless to say. And a week and a half not home. Unless I end up having to do some dog sitting or something in the next week, which means I could be in town for a day anyway, but that would allow me to go home for a day, but I wouldn't be around my computer since it's going to be staying out here for that week and a half. Also, it wasn't until I saw the sun shining on this thing today that I realized how dirty it was. The screen is an absolute outright mess. I should not be going 101 right now. Let's not do that. You can see the speed limit on the train is 100 miles per hour. You can see that at the top of the screen. I'm going to push on 100 the entire time here where I can. The exception, of course, is when I actually hit a 100 limit. Then I'm going to drop it down to 99 just to make sure I don't crush the limit by accident. Crush the limit. Nah. Getting a slight uphill gradient here. It actually is affecting. Oh, I should be gaining speed on P3. What's going on here? The uphill gradient is apparently affecting my P3 speed. So now I'm going to drop it down to P2. Leave it there while I drop under 100 slight bit here. No decimal on 100 when you cross the 100.0 to 100.1 makes it a little scarier to maintain 100. So that's why I'm staying at 99. It's kind of irrelevant by that point. We're already going at fast speeds. But the 110 is not far away, so I can increase under the 100 back to 100, and I should be fine. We're going to let that go because we're now on a 110. So we are once again going our train speed limit. The first station on the route from Bedford shows up on the HUD up ahead, Flitwick. It turns out all the stations are marked on this scenario as waypoints, so it's basically for routing the train through the stations the way it should be in real life. So each train has to follow a certain path. That's what's happening here. There are invisible tasks showing the path you have to follow, but you'll notice Flitwick is not on my task list. Leagrave is the first thing on the task list at 7:24. 7:24:55, by the way, so it's actually a little less than 6 minutes I have to work with. Because we are at the latter end of a minute, the tail end of that minute, we have to literally stop with right on that mark. We cannot be late on that. That's the reason I have to ride 100 the whole way, why I'm even thinking of pushing 101, 102 briefly, just to make sure I hit that perfectly. This is Flitwick. Also, while I'm recording these, I actually don't have a lot of things open on my computer like I usually do, and sometimes that can cause resources to go when I have things like Firefox or Chrome or various helper software like Notepad or RW Info or TS Tools, things like that all running in the background. I have nothing running right now, so if you're still finding on the recording that there are frames getting eaten, I can't do anything about that. I've got this as bare bones as it can possibly be for recording right now. And I am contemplating the idea of rebooting the computer before doing a long recording session. That way I can do a whole bunch at once and then just worry about editing while doing the rest of my computer stuff. But I never want to play that much at once. I enjoy playing the game, but not that much at once. It'd be a way to get about a month ahead, though. The problem, of course, is when new stuff comes out, I have to have the new stuff ready to go if I'm going to show it off. I can't necessarily do that, so... I have not been promoted to the ambassador program yet. And I think that's part of the reason I have not been able to get a copy of the route to Dunblane yet. I wanted to show it off. I was eager to show it off. I made my intention to show it off known because I'm sure that a lot of ambassadors are not going to be showing it off. I still have not gotten a key yet. I'm trying. I'm trying to get it for you. So this is Harlington coming up right here, about a quarter of a mile away. So that was Harlington Station. The next station should be Leagrave. I know there are people who say, well, if you want to show off the route, why don't you buy it? I have enough DLC to show off. I don't need to buy it. I will promo the route if I get the opportunity, but I don't have 52 Canadian dollars to spend on another route to just put everything else aside. My interest is only in promoting the route and then moving on. Though I am interested in seeing if the 385 can be utilized on other routes. I think you would have to rewrite the code and put different signs from the new route down to operate with the 385. You can drive the 385 obviously on any route, I'm sure, but certain functions of the 385 will not work unless the route it runs on at the time in the scenario is hard-coded to use those functions. So routes like Edinburgh to Glasgow, for example, you will not be able to run the... you can run the 385 on that old 2010 version of the route, but I'm just going to note that it won't function the way it does on the Dunblane route. There are special functions to tell you if you're running late or something like that, and encourage you to speed up or whatever the case may be. That said, I'm sure that the train will find a very happy home on routes like the route to Ayr, where one of the side routes apparently does run the 385 today, so it will find a good home on that route. And I'm sure the Cathcart Circle section of the West Coast Main Line North would also be a very good home for it if EA McKay actually includes the functions for the 385 on that route. The downside of doing that kind of thing, though, is that the Dunblane DLC would be required at a minimum for any use of that route, especially if the 385 is involved. But just for the signs to show up, you would need the you would need that setup. So encoding that in would make the route a requirement, and you would have to have that route in order to use those signs. Putting a step 1 brake application on now to start slowing down. We have a minute to make our stop. I'm going to move to a step 2 brake because I'm coming in way too fast now. There's another train that follows a similar stop profile as this one, so I'm not sure if it does in real life, but it certainly does it here in the game. Going to full service now because I'm way too fast. I'm still way too fast, so I'm going to stay in a full service brake for a moment. I'm going to ease it off now. This should do the job. This is perfect right here. Doors are open at Leagrave about 15 seconds early. Leaving Leagrave, our next stop is Luton. Stopping today at platform 4 at Luton. We are only about 2.5 miles from Luton. Just to show you the distance that we are going to be going here. We're going to be going to Harpenden, 8 miles away. We're going to continue to St. Albans City, which is almost 13 miles away. We're going to go further to St. Pancras Thameslink A from St. Albans. We're going to skip everything along the way, 20 miles, almost 20 miles. And that's our final stop for the day. I'm bringing the train up to a P4 throttle now. I left on P3 a little too long for my liking. I should have gone up to P4 a lot sooner. So you can see there's a 90-mile-per-hour speed limit up ahead. Fortunately for us, that's after our stop. So that does not affect us right now. Even so, we're not even going to get to 90 right now, I don't think. Because we're going to have to start slowing down. And that's one favorable thing I do have to mention about this route. As long as you maintain your speed limits and go as fast as you're possibly able to at various points, which means you're not going to reach the speed limit in those cases, you can make your stops on time around the entire scenarios I've played so far. So it's possible to be on time for everything so far. There are one or two that are a little tight, but other than that, you can be on time for everything. In fact, my first playing of this scenario was actually a second late on the final stop. But of course, because there's extra points, I still finished with a perfect score. Or I might be thinking of the second scenario. This might be the second scenario I'm thinking of. Either way, I was 1 second late. I think it was this one. So I ran a quick full service brake because I'm coming in a little too fast. Still coming in a little too fast, so there's another full service brake. 7:29 is the stop point. I have lots of time to make this stop as a result. So I'm just going to screech this down to a very slow speed. We're going to go from there. That'll do. Going to screech to a halt right there. We're going to open the doors at Luton, platform number 4. Leaving Luton, our next stop is Harpenden. We have about 5.5 miles to go, maybe about another, I want to say about 28 or so miles to London St. Pancras. Might be 38 actually. Let's find out. I did the math wrong. No, it was 30. It was 30. That's close to the first time. Price is Right rules, I would win. That means the next stop is a little more than 10 miles away with the time I said that. Referring, of course, to St. Albans when I say that. Now, it's worth knowing that the fast lanes, of course, have a faster speed limit than the slow lanes, which are to our left. So when we get in the scenarios later on, as we pass Luton Airport Parkway, that'll be our first stop on a future scenario, in fact, after leaving Luton. So as we pass Luton Airport Parkway, the speeds to the left are going to be a little bit slower. They might be in the 70, 75, 80, 85, 90 range somewhere. So we're not going to actually go into the train's top speed traveling in those particular lanes. As a result, those scenarios will seem to take longer. So we were just in a 100 mile per hour speed limit, but going into 105 means we are still in a 100 mile per hour speed limit. The timings, I believe, are not requiring you to go above the 100 miles per hour. I have not had to do that in any case so far. There's the increase to 110, and the next station marker, which happens to be our stop, is right behind that 110 speed limit. So slowing down is going to be on our agenda as soon as we get to 100 again. There it is, we got to 100, so now it's time to slow down. And if you think a step 1 brake is going to get you stopped for that station without changing it, surprise! We're already down to 0.6 of a mile. We're only at 85 miles per hour. You're not going to slow down without going to a step 2 brake, and possibly even a full brake. Yeah, this will definitely need a full brake. This is a good time to use it. Going to take the brake off for a second. We have a very limited amount of time to make our stop here to be on time. Now we're going to make our stop. This should still be considered on time. So I'm going to open the doors here at Harpenden, platform number 3. And we're going to complete our third stop of 5. Leaving Harpenden. Our next stop is St. Albans City, which is about 4 miles and change away. That means we're about 24 miles or so from St. Pancras Thameslink. Might be 25. So far we are on time for all stops. With the possible exception of that first stop, it's not actually that hard to do that. If your first stop is on time, you're good the rest of the way. As long as you maintain your speed limits. You don't even have to go 102. So while I find it annoying to have to replay 2 hours worth of scenarios for you, longer if I make mistakes, while I hate having to do that, I am nonetheless enjoying this route, and I do want to actually show you all 5 of the Class 319 scenarios. And then in the very near future, I'm going to head back to London to Brighton. We're going to look at the 319 on London to Brighton. And this will also open up more doors for things I can play on the South London to Brighton route, which uses a lot of the trains that we see on the London to Brighton route. So we're going to see the 442, the 460, which we haven't seen yet. We'll put an appearance somewhere. Possibly. We're going to see the Armstrong Powerhouse version of the Class 456. And there's going to be the, obviously, the AP models of the 465, 365, things like that around there as well. 365 might be more East Coast main line. We actually have seen that one on that route already. So I'm going to have to make sure I have all of my AP trains installed to make sure you can see everything. And I'm especially going to have to see if I can get it in the most updated form. So I have the most updated version of it. I'm going to have to just replace the scenarios in them because obviously scenarios will be different. So I'll have to make sure I change those out. But other than that, everything's going to be in the most updated form with the exception of the scenarios, which will be set up to use the V1 weather pack instead of the V2 weather pack. And also we'll have stock in them that may no longer... that will not be replaced in some cases by newer stock. For example, I wanted to, if I want to keep 170s in a scenario instead of the 185, I can do that using my old scenarios. Because I know we're going to have a red signal ahead, I don't mind bringing my speed down to about 40 miles per hour. We're going to have 4 minutes before we can actually go into the station here, it looks like. Or rather, we have to stop in 4 minutes. So this is the time to zoom ahead and look at the signal. We will do so. I think the signal is around this corner. So the 100 means nothing. So that green is not our line. That is a different line. Don't get thrown off by that. That red, I believe, is our line. Yep, indeed, you can now see from the buzzer that we are indeed confirming that this is our red signal. I can zoom out now and close enough that we can see it from the regular view now. I'm going to keep this train going at 5 miles per hour, and hopefully the signal changes before I reach it. I think it is supposed to change in this minute if we're going to be on time, because you can see the station is not available on the HUD right now. So I think it has to change in this particular minute. Going at a slight downhill now. So the cause of this is a train that is leaving St. Albans ahead of us. Once it leaves, we're permitted access to the station. We're going to have to stop here. We don't have a choice. So all we can do at this time is wait for this signal to change. Once this signal changes, we're probably green the rest of the way once we make our stop. And there it is. I'm going to stay at 45 miles per hour. That seems a good enough speed to go at this point because we know we are stopping before the next signal, which as we pass that other signal is a red signal up ahead. That may be yellow by the time we reach it. It would not surprise me if it is actually. Because there is the possibility of a red signal, I'm going to go ahead and slow down a little earlier. Just to give more time for that signal to change up ahead. So I'm going to go down to 25. The signal has cleared up ahead. We can confirm that by the repeater signal. So we don't have to worry about that signal being red now. We do have to worry about it being yellow, but not red. This will still be on time because we have the full minute and it's 55 on the stop. So we're actually slightly early as we arrive at St. Albans City. Leaving St. Albans City from platform 3, our next stop and final stop for us is St. Pancras Thameslink platform A. Now you might be wondering why, if you're not familiar with the area, why it's platform A and not platform 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, so on. The reason is because these platforms actually go under the station. Let me actually show you what I mean by that. So we're going to be coming in on the map when we get further south. Notice that little circle track, by the way. I have no idea what that is. Looks like the aggregate hoppers area or something like that. So we're going to be coming in on a track that, this track right here, you're going to see it curve off here. It then goes underground. It continues underground to then go in this direction. These are the tracks we're stopping on. They're underground. The rest of the station is above ground. By the way, there is a terminal platform, number 5. That is something else above ground, so don't worry about that. So we're going to be seeing a platform underground. We're not going into St. Pancras itself. We're going under St. Pancras, but St. Pancras will still be mapped because it is still possible for scenarios to use St. Pancras. You might have a St. Pancras to Bedford or something like that. So services could still exist out of St. Pancras, and therefore St. Pancras is fully modeled. So as we travel, we're now 18 miles to St. Pancras Thameslink A. We are going over 60 miles per hour at this point. In fact, 75. So we're going about, I guess it's 5 miles every 4 minutes or something like that now. However, note that our arrival time is 8:01, so we have to be there in 15 minutes. So we have to stay well above the 60 for right now, especially because the track will be slowing down to, I think, as low as 30 miles per hour as we get towards St. Pancras. In fact, Kentish Town, I believe, has a speed limit of 30 miles per hour. But almost all the way to Kentish Town, we're going to be going 100. Eventually drop into something like 90 or 75 or something like that. Again, I apologize I didn't get this video out for you on my regular Friday, Saturday, Tuesday schedule, and I apologize for the problems last week. It's just been one of those crazy weeks, and not having content recorded in advance and not being in a situation where I could even publish it properly if I did. Notice I did not have a proper image set up for the last video, and I didn't have chapters set up for the last couple of videos. So I have to go back and actually do all of that. I'm going to probably have that done by the time I upload this, or I'll be doing that by the time I upload this. So it won't be anything to worry about at that point. But yeah, that was something that really bothered me, that I haven't been able to follow my normal quality. And when you get to that point, it's like you just don't overwork yourself. You try to keep yourself in a situation where you're not doing too much. As we go through Radlet, because the more I do when it's not set up the way I normally want the quality to be set up, then the more I have to do later to fix it. I think there's one or two other videos going back a couple weeks that have to have chapters added as well that I didn't add chapters for that I intended to. And then of course there's a couple I didn't because they were too short. Didn't feel it was necessary. Usually if it's under half an hour, I'm not going to add chapters to it. It's just not worth the extra time to put 3 chapters in for introduction, run, ending. Just watch the whole thing. That said, there are exceptions. For Falmouth Branch, for example, I think there was only 4 stations you can stop at from a 5th one starting, and you typically stop at all of them, so it makes sense to label them all in those cases because you're stopping at every station. But if it's just a simple run where you're doing 1 or 2 small things and that's it, it's not really worth it. Elstree and Boreham Wood is coming up here. We're almost at our 100 mile per hour train speed limit once again. And we have hit that limit. And I should not have gone to 101. That was a mistake. But thankfully I was not caught speeding. I did just enter a 100 and I was not caught speeding. So while I can go 101 in this train, it is possible for the train to get to it. We're not supposed to. We would not normally be dinged for speeding for doing that as a train speed limit, as it's the track speed limit that gets counted. But we should be keeping things realistic and not going to it in our play either. You can see Mill Hill Broadway coming up. We're being routed via platform number 2 through Mill Hill Broadway. We're now within 10 miles of St. Pancras Thameslink platform A. So we're going to see more things closer together now. In fact, when you see Cricklewood in about 6 miles or so, think of that as, might be 5 miles as we pass Mill Hill Broadway. When you see Cricklewood coming up in the future, keep an eye on, keep a mind on that we're going to have a left turn and eventually a right turn into St. Pancras to match what we saw on the North London Lines route where that line came in. And we crossed that line on there as well. So you can see Harpenden coming up, routing through platform number 3. And Cricklewood might be the next one after that, now that I think about it. That might be Cricklewood. I know after Cricklewood is West Hampstead, Thameslink, Kentish Town, and then St. Pancras. But the reason I think Cricklewood is next is I believe that's 4 stations from St. Albans that we've now seen, Harpenden being the 4th one. So that would mean Cricklewood would be next if I'm right. There, in fact, is the 95-mile-per-hour speed limit coming up as we pass Harpenden. And we're going to find out now. Yep, that's Cricklewood. So we're entering the Goblin Lines in the North London Line area. I'm letting the train slow down to 95 on a P1 throttle right now, just letting it slow down a little early here. We're getting warned about, is the 95 or the 75? We're getting warned about the 95. That is 15 below the actual speed limit right now, so that makes sense. It doesn't really bother us too much because we're only going 5 miles lower. And we're already there. We're technically already there. There's an 85 coming up as well. This time I'm going to let the train coast. I may need to apply a brake. Cricklewood Station. Yeah, I need a brake. So we're down to 85 as we get close to West Hampstead Thameslink, a terminal point for services from Brighton that go via the Norwood Junction. This is the terminal point for those services. There are some that go to Bedford, but this is a very common terminal point in the Class 700 trains. We're now down to an 80-mile-per-hour speed limit that's going to be coming up here. I'm going to return to a P1 throttle. You can see a 75 followed by a 50 followed by a 25. That is a slowdown. The 25 is a junction speed limit to cross over to the slow lines. Then we're going to hit 30 as we go into Kentish Town. Remember I said earlier the speed limit at Kentish Town is 30? This is it. So we're starting to slow our train down for St. Pancras. We are within 3 miles, also about 5 minutes of St. Pancras. 30 will not get us there at that speed, so we have to maintain some speed for a little while here. We're going to get it down to 50. So now we're going to do a heavy brake application to get down to 50. A little early on that. I'm going to do the same thing to get it down to 25 very quickly as well. So we already followed one junction going at 50 to get on that junction. And I'm down to 25 a little early as well. In fact, I'm down to 26 if you want to be specific. Moving on to the up line. So we're now under 2 miles away, and that is a proper timing for 30 miles per hour. But we have to go 25 for a very brief distance here. This is, again, a junction track. The limit on this track is 25. Just on that portion of track. We're going to be able to go back up to, 50 in just a mo. Wait, there's a 30 up ahead. Never mind. There's the 50 very briefly. And now we're under 30. And this is Kentish Town. We're going to see the 8 stations to St. Albans in the next scenario. And then we're going to see another drive from Luton going through all those stations again, but with a few extra stations going in the other direction. So we're going to cover the same journey that we just saw in scenario 3 as well, but we're going to actually stop and take a look at all the stations. We're going to do the same thing going north in scenario number 2 as far as St. Albans. We're now 1.2 miles from St. Pancras Thameslink. We have 3 minutes to make our stop. That should be sufficient. Now, the third achievement in the scenario, after you drive the 319 for the first time and after you get to 100 miles per hour, the third achievement you can obtain in this scenario is driving on a 1 in 38 gradient. This is that 1 in 38 gradient you see in the middle of the screen. So we're going to be seeing the gradient smooth out right here. And after it finishes smoothing out, we will get to jump right on that 1 in 38. You're going to see it increase to a steep gradient. Now, the achievement says you climb up the gradient. We're not doing that. We're going down. But it still counts because you're on a 1 in 38 gradient. So watch the 0, 0 right there. It went to 1 in 215, 177, 151, 131, 117, 105, 100. And now we're getting into the double digits. And this is where we're going to hit the 42, 40, 39, 38. You get the achievement right there. That's where you get your achievement. You can also, by the way, use the throttle through this. If you want to maintain a very slow speed increase, you can do that. I don't think it's advised to do that in real life, but you can do it on this train, on this route, if you want to, in this DLC. But again, I don't recommend that. If you want to be realistic, I don't think you can do it realistically. I think what you're supposed to do is just release the brake if you want to regain some speed, just like that. It goes up very quickly, and then you put it back on. I don't think you're allowed to move the throttle like that. So we're going to go ahead and still... Actually, no, you know what? I'm going to keep it for a while because I don't know how tight the timing is. You're going to see a buffer come up at the end of the route in just a moment. There it is. So we're going to eventually slow down as we get into St. Pancras Thameslink. That buffer will zoom out. I would slow down earlier if not for the fact that I don't know if we'll be on time if we do that. But at this point I think I can, so I'm going to go ahead and slow down to about 20 right now. That should get us, yeah, the buffer's gone now. You can see the signal before the buffer is now the thing at the end of the HUD as we enter the St. Pancras Thameslink station. We're not going to be entering the tunnel at the end of the platform. This looks more like a subway now, doesn't it? Now the green line for St. Pancras Thameslink does not cross the 00, so we're just going to go forward a little bit further. Make sure we are indeed in the station fully. Bring the train to a stop at the end of the platform. That'll do nicely, and we'll take a look at our train as we open the doors, right on time to finish the scenario. And there is the first scenario of the London to Bedford Midland Mainline route completed. And we're going to be coming back and doing the next couple. Again, you see I've already completed them, but that's because I was trying to record them and I didn't have OBS open. That's me, stupid. You know, bad boy. Yeah, so we're going to come back and play those again. Obviously, I've already seen them. I'm not going to... I've basically been spoiled with what they do already, but you're going to enjoy these, I think. They're neat little chances to see a nice line out of London going north towards the Midland Main Line area. It's nice travel along the Midland Main Line is what I'm trying to get at. Nicely done. Before this service continues to Beckenham Junction. Wait, we're continuing? Let's see how you've done so far. Yes, let's see that. We're not going to go to Beckenham Junction. It's just trying to be realistic. But we're going to go ahead and take a look at how we've done here. Let's do that right now. And there it is. That's a perfect score as far as the scenario is concerned. And you can see that this scenario has been played by a lot of people on my friends list. And of course, global, you have a lot of thousands. And top, you have a lot of thousands as well. Probably the first people that did it. I don't know. Something like that. But in any case, we are completed the scenario. We are going to continue to the second scenario next time. Make sure to tune back in for that. We'll talk more about the different stations then, if I have any information. I don't know if I'm going to, but, you know, we'll at least stop at them. We'll take a look around. That's the main thing. So I'll see you for that. I'm Cyclone. Make sure you have a wonderful day, evening, night, whatever it is for your part of the world. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit that bell, and you'll know when the next video goes up. In the meantime, I'll see you for that next video probably tomorrow. And it's going to be a special Sunday video because, you know, things didn't go right this week. So I'm keeping to my schedule just a day late. We'll do it. And we're going to have Tuesday as usual. So make sure you stay tuned for those videos. I'll see you for those. I'm Cyclone. Bye-bye.